Go.
Salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Podcast The Storm, where social awkward outcasts, crazy widows, and all of my nerds convene to talk and debate all things pop culture. With me, as always, is my co-host and the nerdy occultist, the aka the Authenticator, Dalton L. Mortimer.
Hello and good evening, everyone.
Right. And I am your host slash Time Lord wannabe, the brainstorm of pop culture. How's everyone doing tonight?
I am doing pretty good. As I mentioned to Brainstormer backstage, a book that I had on my Amazon Save for Later list finally came back into stock. It's a book on vows, oaths, and sworn word in Tudor England, and it finally came back into stock like 2 days ago. I finally ordered it. So with the $50 that my aunt gave me for my birthday on Amazon, I was able to get that and another book that I randomly came across as I was scrolling through Amazon the other day. So that's a positive thing. Anyway, this week is mostly a trailer week because everyone and their dog released a trailer this week, probably either to coincide with Comic-Con or to coincide with the release of Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's mostly trailers, although we will also be doing a review of Deadpool and Wolverine, because I finally got to see it a couple days ago. And yes, there was piracy involved. Mostly because I just don't have... The friend that I normally go to movies with no longer lives in my area because he moved. So I don't really have anyone to go to the movie theater with. And it's kind of lame to do by yourself. Anyway, on with the first of the, I think, 4 trailers we have today.
Thank you. Yeah, give me 1 sec. I'm just setting it up right now.
Yep.
So this was actually a trailer we had talked about. Well, a thing we had talked about like a few weeks ago because the teaser had come out not too long ago, and the first trailer is now come out too. It's from Netflix. Terminator Zero, uh, which is a Terminator anime. Not sure if it's a series or a full-on just movie. I would assume series, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which it is. It could go either way, being as it's Netflix.
Okay. Audio come through and stuff.
Yep, We have audio. It's fine.
Okay. I think when the first, like the teaser trailer, not the official trailer, which is this, came out, we were discussing. It also seemed like a breath of fresh air for the Terminator franchise, right?
Mm-hmm. Because honestly, most of the sequels wound up being kind of shitty. Like, obviously, Terminator 1 and 2 are aces, but everything after 1 and 2 is hit or miss in the extreme. So it's interesting, and I think even back a couple weeks ago, I made a reference to the Animatrix, because this animation style and the idea of this series really heavily reminds me of the Animatrix.
All right. Did we ever have anything specific for Terminator, or did we just go with banana?
I think we just went with banana. I can't think of any other uh, food-related words to go with.
All right.
Banana.
Banana?
Malcolm. What makes you think humanity is worth saving?
I mean, with animation, you get a lot more creative and stuff. You're not limited with like real. I mean, there are limitations with budget, obviously, for animation, but uh, you're
On the other hand, it's not like anyone would tell James Cameron no if he wanted to do this in live action.
no, he
'Cause, I
did.
mean,
This is a reference. This is a reference to like the nuclear scene. I don't know if it's from the second. I think it's like the second opening.
right? I know the scene you're referring to. Um, but yeah. Given that for some reason Hollywood is fine just giving him the entire fucking bankroll to do Avatar movies, I don't think James Cameron, if he wanted to do this in live action, would be prevented from doing it in live action. I genuinely think someone at Netflix just went, "Hey guys, what if we did the Animatrix but for Terminator?" and they ran with it.
Yeah,
Because that is a pretty solid elevator pitch for this show, and it is pretty accurate.
but although I don't think it's like an anthology movie like the Animatrix. It
Yeah,
just
I'm
seemed
not
that
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a movie or if it's a series, but it is. It seems to be going like the prequel series route for it, whether it's a movie or a
uh,
series.
or just someone else's story besides John Connor's.
Well, we heard the name Malcolm just now, or at least I thought I heard it. So I assume
Yeah,
this is Malcolm Reese's perspective.
I don't know,
Which
but
a really random thought just occurred to me. Malcolm Reese is obviously one of the main characters from the original Terminator. Was that an inspiration for the guys who did Malcolm in the Middle? Is that why Malcolm is called Malcolm and Reese is called Reese? Malcolm in the Middle.
uh,
I don't know if I don't know if that's actually what was the impetus, or if my brain is just manufacturing a massive coincidence for me here, but I kind of hope that is the justification because that's kind of badass. That was uh, anyway. Um, banana.
banana.
Knowledge is power. If you understand something, it can never truly control you. Skynet will come online. In an act of self-preservation.
Now, okay, so it's not Malcolm Reese. It's someone else because it's set in Japan. And okay, so you were right about the prequel thing because this might be one of the guys who worked on it. Worked on Skynet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested because usually, obviously, we're just because we see it from John's perspective because he's kind of the one who leads humanity, right? So
Yeah,
it's interesting to
he is
see, like,
the chosen one.
yeah. So I am curious because we never really hear anything about. We hear about like humanity pushed to the brink of extinction and stuff, and but we never. What's the word I'm thinking about? We don't really hear about what else is going on in the world in terms of the Terminator stuff. And so it's just interesting, like, to see what's happening. You know.
Speaking of weird name coincidences, I just now realized that the initials for John Connor are JC. So, Second Coming reference? Question mark. It's taken me freaking 20 years, but I just now realized that might be what the reference is. My brain is noticing weird shit tonight.
Hello, Giant Turtle. Good to see you. Unfortunately, I haven't read it. Well, no, I haven't really read anything as of late. I've been really busy with work.
I'm sorry, Dragon Turtle. I don't have any geographically convenient friends to go and see movies with, and seeing movies by yourself is kind of lame. So unless and until I can get moved in with my friend who moved to Wilkes-Barre, I'm basically stuck in a situation where I have no one to go see movies with and shit. Or at least no one who would enjoy going to see movies and shit with me. Because I could drag my family along, but I don't like the kind of movies they tend to like. And I always like to talk about the movies after I've seen them or even during the movie. So, like, it's something that I would need a nerd friend to go with me to do, and I don't have any geographically convenient one anymore. So there. But also, yes, if a movie isn't good enough to justify me spending money on it, then nothing has been lost if I pirate it. Piracy is based for the most part. Anyway, Banana.
Giant Turtle says, "Take a spirit to the trailer, to the theater." Sorry.
Yeah, but that would probably result in it mucking about with the technology, and if people catch me like talking out loud to a spirit, they might think I'm schizophrenic or something. And I already am one of those weirdos who talks to himself a lot, so it would get very, very awkward very, very quickly.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Banana.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, Banana.
I usually wait like 2 or 3 weeks before I go to the theater, so the theater is likely going to be empty. Because you have to remember, I live in a very, very small town. So, like, the nearest theater is like 45 minutes away from my house. And usually, if you wait like a month after something comes out, you can get the theater almost to yourself. Which is why it's fun to MST3K the shit out of movies. When you have a friend to go with and you're in the theater alone together. But anyway, back to the Annie Terminatrix, I guess is what I'm going to start calling it.
Banana.
Banana.
Preservation, it will enact nuclear strikes. I believe that humanity still has a fighting chance. I believe that you have the power to change our fate.
Skynet has sent a Terminator back in time. You are the only one who can do this.
Tonally, this is amazing. Like, this is how I think we always expect like the Terminator franchise should be.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly better than everything since T2. It may even, if it's as good as it looks in this trailer and the previous trailer, it may even rise to the rank of being the best Terminator related piece of media, which is a high bar to clear, because everyone knows the first movie and everyone basically almost universally acknowledges that T2 is the best like sci-fi sequel in history.
Alright.
Banana?
Shall we?
Yes, banana.
Banana.
Tell me where Malcolm is. If the Terminator can't get to Malcolm, the children will be its next target.
Malcolm, what are you scared of?
Judgment.
This is very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this really tapping into the very like the description Malcolm Reese had in the first movie about Terminators.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really feels like the Terminators are frightening here.
Yeah. Which is something
Well,
they
and
haven't
then, like,
really had
later
on their
games-
side in a long time.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Like, it's weird because up until T2, the Terminators haven't really felt terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some scenes here and there, but nothing really.
Mm-hmm. It was more of an action franchise than a horror franchise.
I mean, T2 started to go into the action franchise, while the first one
Yeah.
was straight up
Yeah.
a horror movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because like the thing with Terminator that is very frustrating is it's an idea and a universe with so much potential that after T2, T1 and T2 notwithstanding, it really hasn't successfully managed to actually tap into any of its latent potential. With
Maybe
the
the
possible
Sarah
exception,
Connor Chronicles.
yeah, with the possible exception of the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Like T1, T2, and the Sarah Connor Chronicles are basically the like peak of Terminator, and everything else is varying kinds of bleh. I didn't mind Salvation, honestly. Or what was the third one? Judgment Day. Judgment Day was the third one, right?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, like I didn't mind that one so much, but like Terminator Genesis, Terminator Dark Fate, there's another one I'm missing. They've all pretty much been absolute direct.
No,
And
Terminator Judgment Day was 2, and Terminator 3 was Rise of the Machines.
okay, Rise of the Machines, that's the third one. Yeah, I didn't mind Rise of the Machines actually all that much, but everything, everything with the exception of T1, T2, parts of Rise of the Machines and the Saracana Chronicles, everything but those is shit, pretty much.
Oh, and there's a video game that came out, Terminator Resistance.
Yeah, I've never played it or heard much about it though, so I can't really say whether it is or is not a good addition to the legacy of Terminator. That is
Terminator
for
has some interesting stuff in it, I would say.
yeah, but a lot of its interesting ideas never really got played with or touched upon very much. And the whole like anti-maternal thing and the strong women Terminator and the death of John Connor as a baby, like in the first scene of the movie.
No, that's not Salvation. That's not Salvation.
Oh wait, yeah, shit. That was
Dark
Dark
Fate.
Fate. Let's see. What one was Salvation? I know Genesis was the one where
Christian Bale and John Connor.
Yeah. I don't remember much of Salvation, honestly.
It was the movie that was set during the future, the war against Skynet and stuff. But it was like set before the first movie in terms of the future events. Like it was before John really became like the savior of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was still fighting and stuff, but
Right.
Yeah.
Wasn't Rise of the Machines also set in the future, or at least parts of it were?
No, it was just before Judgment Day.
Okay. Yeah, but yeah, I don't remember much of Salvation, honestly. Which again should tell you something about the ratio of good to bad in the Terminator franchise. And it's not the Terminator franchise's fault, because there is, like I say, a lot of untapped potential that it seems like this Terminator Zero is tapping into really, really hard. It's just sad that it's taken 30 freaking years to actually get some of that untapped potential started to tap into again.
All right. Shall we?
Banana.
The end of the world comes tomorrow.
Yeah, this is really good. Like this feels like what Terminator should be, I guess.
Yeah. It like I say, it keeps giving me like Animatrix vibes, but it also kind of gives me Genndy Tartakovsky vibes a little bit. Like it's very similar in like tone and stuff to like the Genndy Clone Wars series and shit.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Which I mean, that's not bad company to be in. Being in the same category as the Animatrix and Gendy's Clone Wars is not bad company to be in. Especially in a franchise that hasn't really given any good material in like 30 years.
All right. Shall we?
Banana.
August 29th.
So later this month. That should be interesting.
I'm just on to the next one.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Huh.
Okay. Sorry, I was taking a minute there. All right. Well, so I disappeared to grab something to drink. So
Mm-hmm.
milk, in case anyone was wondering.
Mm.
Out of soda. So
Uh-huh.
yeah. All right. So the second one. God damn it! Come on, you piece of shit. There we go. The teaser trailer for Creature Commandos.
Hmm. Our first actual look at what James Gunn intends to do for DC. Let's
Um,
see what he let's see what he's working with.
I'm trying to think. Well, DC. Big Belly Burger.
I was gonna go with Hostess Fruit Pies.
I I I have no idea.
Because of all the old comic ads.
I I don't know. I legitimately don't know, man.
When in doubt, just regular banana, I guess will do.
Hey, technically not. Technically not a food, but food related. It's a weird one, I will grant you, but Planet Krypton. It's a legit, actual food chain restaurant, like restaurant food chain in DC universe, where it's like it's like super. It's like DC's Hooters, basically.
Or the Planet Hollywood type thing.
Yeah, thank you.
As as attractive as I'm sure a lot of really hot guys in the superhero equivalent of Chip and Dale's costumes would be. Probably shouldn't make people think of Hooters.
All right, okay, banana then, just because like can't really think of anything else. Yeah, all right, banana.
General Flag. This is Belle Reeve. For over 50 years, only those at the uppermost levels are aware of its existence.
I thought Congress put a stop to all Task Force X activities.
All right, one animation like art style looks amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Better than a lot of things we've seen these. I mean, it looks a lot better than anything we've seen in the last 5 or so years.
Yeah, art style has been on a steady downward trend for years now.
I'll see you around, Dragon Turtle. Sorry, it's alright. You say you gotta go, so.
See ya, DT. I still don't like that they didn't recast Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. Like, it makes the level of reboot very confused. It also annoys me that she will not put on weight for the character. Still. But I don't have any other major complaints so far. Anyway.
No, and General Flag, who's supposed to be Rick Flag Sr., like his son was Rick Flag Jr., who died in the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm. Which I wonder if they'll ever touch on that for character motives and shit. I wouldn't put it past James Gunn, but it would once again kind of confuse the level of reboot we're going for here.
I'm fairly certain the Suicide Squad, which James Gunn directed, would be canon to his universe.
I mean, from a practical world building standpoint, it would have been smart to leave it behind and just kind of copy the tone. But from it's his baby, so it's personal to him. Respect, I'm sure he'll make it canon.
But yeah, I am because technically it was by Amanda's order that Rick Flag Jr. died because Peacemaker was ordered to stop any information about the U.S. involvement with Starro. From getting out, and Rick Flag wanted to reveal that, and that was an obstacle and had to be removed from the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And since this is so, I'm wondering if it's ever going to be brought up either in this season or later on if this series continues, that Amanda Waller was technically responsible for Rick Flag Sr.'s son's death.
Yeah, because this could very easily turn into a very moving character moment. But at the same time, it might be smarter to leave it hanging because we don't want to backdate too much of the new universe. That's why I'm very conflicted about keeping Amanda Waller's actress the same. Because the smart money would have been on recasting her and rebooting the entire universe, but James Gunn's like creative ego got personally involved, and so now we're in this kind of half in, half out state.
So, but also what I'm interested in is, well, in the original Creature Commandos, obviously a lot of them were military people that were transformed into monsters, and they're actually going the real legitimate monsters here, mostly. I think. I think the Creature from the Black Lagoon lady is still a doctor who was turned into a monster. Not sure about that. But what I'm curious about with like General Flag, which is super interesting because he's pretty high ranking in the military then. He's going to be placed. He's going to be. There was an original like human leader of the Creature Commandos called I can't remember, Shreve something. Was a total asshole to them. Treated them like shit. I don't know if they're going to do that here.
I expect not, because it might. I expect if they do, it'll be as part of a character arc where he learns to be less of a dick. Because that.
To be fair, if
my guess.
Hold on. Okay, again, if we're taking into account with Colonel Flag, being his son, and Colonel Flag was actually treated the Suicide Squad with some respect, like people, not. So maybe, and given that they're people of like acts, or like, and the Creature Commandos are like either people of genuine. Most of them are either like mutated or were turned into these or forced to be monsters. There's a high probability that there is some sympathy there. I mean, again, just
my guess is we'll start with him being a bit of a dick to them, and then over the course of the show, becoming less of a dick. Because my guess is they'll probably their group dynamics will probably be very similar to the Guardians of the Galaxy, because James Gunn.
What a bunch of a-holes.
Yeah. So I expect that if they play with the he's a dick to them at first thing, it'll be so that he can grow character-wise from that, and we can see the development of their relationship together.
Although, if the plan of making sure that the voice actors and stuff can also be able to play these characters in live action, I am curious what they would look like in live action.
It should be interesting.
Because that is an interesting idea. I wish some people did more of. Like, the only time I think it's ever been done sometimes is, ironically, the CW did that with the Arrowverse. Like, Vixen started off as an animated series.
Yeah.
And then the actress got casted to be to show up in Arrow.
Yeah.
Like
on paper, at least, it's a very good idea because it unifies the universe stronger, and that's something I wish Marvel would get the fuck over and start doing too. On the other hand, though, it requires a level of investment in the IP of DC, and you can't just act like you have that investment from the get-go. And one of the obstacles in James Gunn's way here is going to be the fact that he's treating it like he's being asked to take over Marvel, and he's not. He's being tasked with taking over DC, and DC has been shitting the bed for at least a decade. So, while it's a good idea on paper to do this, have the animation and live action be continuous with each other, it might require more investment than the audience is willing to give you right off the bat, James, because DC has spent the last 10 years shitting the bed repeatedly and publicly and overtly. So I'm not sure the investment exists in the brand at this point, because
Right.
Warner Brothers has a fantastic ability to shoot themselves in the foot over and over again.
It's honestly astounding, to be fully honest.
Yeah, it gets to the point where you have to wonder if it is genuinely just sabotage, because you wouldn't think that someone would be that consistently self-destructive unless they were literally trying to be. Like, the law of averages dictates that they would have to get the right answer occasionally. But DC, since like 2013, has not managed to. So, apparently not.
Shall we?
Yeah. Banana.
Banana.
Congress said you can't use human prisoners. These assholes aren't human.
Interesting way to play it, I will admit.
I mean, it makes sense.
And I just realized I only paused it at 30 seconds. Like, we only launched like 10 seconds of it.
Okay. Banana.
Sorry, it's just like it ended at such a way that, like, with the punchline, it just felt like something we could discuss.
Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Anyway, okay, shall we?
Yeah, banana.
Congress said you can't use human prisoners. These assholes aren't human.
You smiling
Yes.
sarcastically?
Mm-hmm.
Alan Tudyk, always a win.
This is very true.
He's playing. I am so very. I mean, obviously, Dr. Phosphorus had to be like completely CGI in some form.
Yeah.
Like a mix practical and CGI. If they're bringing him to live action.
Mm-hmm. Well, Alan Tudyk also has a long history of being a voice actor, so it's not like he can't do a full CGI character if he has to.
Well, he's also done a lot of live action, so he's like a character actor. So he's very animate, so he can play the character. I'm not saying he can't. Yeah. Obviously,
my guess is they'll have him do the motion capture for the character and then CGI it, probably.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of expecting, just because it's James Gunn, a mix of practical and motion capture.
Does he? I don't think he has a legacy of doing that a lot. He didn't do that with Guardians. He didn't do that with. He didn't really do that with Suicide Squad. I don't think he's not known for mixing those two, really. At least I can't think of any examples where he was like known for doing that or like expressed particular desire to do it that way. There are people who do. For example, Michael Dougherty is the king of mixing practical and CGI, but like I don't think that's in James Gunn's. I'm not saying he wouldn't do it. I'm just saying that's not really a thing he's explicitly known for.
Okay. Just from that scene alone, I am sure the banter. Well, it's James Gunn, so banter's always going to be amazing.
Again, like he's good at doing groups of weirdos. See, also, his Guardians movies and his Suicide Squad. So, like, he's good at doing groups of weirdos, which probably explains why this is the first IP we're getting out of the new DC. Again, I have concerns from just a practicality standpoint of you're kind of acting as though you have the audience's loyalty by default. and that's a very dangerous attitude to get into when you're doing DC for Warner Brothers, because Warner Brothers has done literally everything in their power, whether they realize it or not, to constantly discourage people from getting invested in their shit.
I feel like a lot of people out there, maybe myself included, are really going to dig the designs of a lot of these characters in very certain particular ways.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely going to be a good time to be a fan on DeviantArt and Tumblr, but let's look
don't
away
make
from the fandom of this.
I just realized this show is perfect for like the monster fucker community.
Again,
So,
gentlemen,
Tom, what do you think of this show so far?
Ladies, gentlemen, and others, to your respective DeviantArt accounts, and go.
So, hey, Don, I gotta ask, what do you think of the show so far from this trailer?
I haven't seen anyone I find hot yet. I will keep you posted though.
He didn't. I feel like I have to explain the implication I just said.
Go on.
I was indicating that you're also a part of the monster fucker community.
Okay, but monsters are very often hot though. What am I supposed to do? Not acknowledge when a thing is hot? I'm just saying I went through puberty at a time when the most influential IP on the cinematic market was Twilight, and I was Team Jacob and Team Emmett. So there.
All right.
If you honestly must know where the monster fucker impulse came from, blame Twilight for at least part of it, and then blame Siren Sun ASMR for the rest of it, because he's very good at doing those.
Okay. Anyway, shall we?
Yes, banana. A very embarrassing banana, but a banana nonetheless.
Fishing!
This is your new task force.
It's been oh so long since G.I. Robot has sent Nazis back to hell.
Please don't lean into those jokes too much, James. Please. I know
he's an old-timey robot, so.
No, I know, but please don't lean into the Nazi jokes too much, because it's very. I can see the temptation. I can see the temptation to conflate the modern day quote unquote alt-right with Nazis and blah. Please, for the love of God, don't do it. I want to like you. Please meet me halfway.
I have a voice for G.I. Robot. I'm trying to remember who that is. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's supposed to be Jake, right? Jake the G.I. Robot?
I think so.
Yeah, this all looks cool, I'm weirdly enough, I'm just not realizing this. Animation style kind of reminds me. I don't know if anyone knows about this cartoon from Adult Swim, Black Dynamite.
Yeah. Yeah,
it
it definitely has those vibes. Yeah. I like this concept, and it is the right kind of James Gunn weirdness that I want from a cinematic universe helmed by James Gunn. My question is, are you going to be able to get all the burned DC fans, all the DC fans that feel like they've gotten burned on board with something like this? And are you going to be able to convince a large sum of the audience, like the normie audience, to accept this as the first, string in the bow of the modern DC universe? Like, it works for people like me, but then again, I am very similar to James Gunn in my tolerance for cosmic and supernatural weird bullshit. I'm wondering how viral this is going to go among the normie audience, especially after having been burned by DC as a brand for 10 freaking years.
All right. We got 30 seconds left, shall we?
Banana.
Let's call it Task Force M. M for Monster. Also known as...
December.
Okay, that's
a little disappointed that it's not coming out in October.
Yeah, speaking of ways that fucking DC loves to, or Warner Brothers like shooting DC in the head, how was this not the easiest show to date, like, in production history? Set it in, like, depending on when you're doing your episode releases, either start it at the end of September so that the season finale coincides with Halloween, kind of like what Agatha Agatha All Along is doing, or if it's going to be a mini series or something to binge all at once, like the week before Halloween would be a good time to air this. Then again, I suppose it's possible that James Gunn thought ahead of this already and has a Christmas episode planned, which, okay, fine. But again, I'm looking at this being kind of cautiously optimistic, and I'm just being like, please don't screw it up, James. Please don't screw it up, James. Please don't screw it up, James. Because I want to meet James Gunn halfway. I just hope he did enough work to justify me meeting him halfway. Because if not, then this is going to crash and burn before it even gets a chance to be off the ground, and we're never going to get into the cool shit. And I really want to get into the cool shit. Anyway, next trailer. Oh, bugger me. I hate fucking being so tired.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it was loading. So.
Yep.
All right, there we go. All right, the official trailer for the Penguin series.
Mm-hmm.
Was supposed to connect with. It's obviously set between like Batman, the Batman, and the Batman Part 2 or whatever whatever it's going to be called.
Mm-hmm. It's a tie-in series with the Matt Reeves Batman universe, which for some reason is not part of the mainline DC universe because they didn't put their foot down with Matt Reeves, I guess, or bribe him with enough dump truck full of money.
All right, shall we?
In the category of DC shoots itself in the foot again. That being said, I hear that there's a rumor going around that they might actually tap Jensen Ackles to be the canon Batman. So that should be interesting if they do.
All right, shall we?
Batnana.
Batnana.
Yes.
Come on. You can help me out.
Life is just a dream.
You promised me, Oswald. I know. I deserve a better life. I'm working on it.
Well, they set up for the honest man to succeed. That should be the American dream right there. You know, beautiful story.
Oh,
I love the song choice for this trailer, by the way.
yeah. God, I hope I don't. Okay. Yeah. Again, it looks all amazing and stuff, and visuals are never not going to disappoint.
Yeah, the production design is freaking on point, as was the Matt Reeves Batman back in 2018, I think. No.
What? No, the 2022.
Okay, 2022 was the Matt Reeves Batman. Because I was trying to think in my head of I know it didn't come out in 2020. I know it didn't come out in 2021 because that was still very pandemic shaped. But I know it made over 700 million at the box office. So is it? I was trying to remember if it was 2019 or if it was 2022. Okay, so it was 2020.
You were way off.
Well, because freaking 2020 had 3 years rolled up into it, so it feels overly long and shit.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah. I think someone had mentioned before. This feels very like Sopranos, like Mafia. Obviously, and it's Penguin and stuff. See his rise to power.
Which I mean is probably the right direction to go with, especially because the first, the Batman movie, kind of went with a David Fincher-esque The Seven vibe, or Seven vibe there. So it does make sense that something that ties into that would have Soprano-ish vibes.
Yeah. All right.
Batnana.
Batnana.
With a happy ending. But that ain't the way the world works. America's a hustle. Not that I'm complaining.
Penguin, you waltzing in here.
This is the most charismatic. No offense to any other Penguins we've seen in any form of media, but
yeah.
I mean, Colin Farrell, obviously, amazing actor. Props to him.
Well,
But
the issue is
this
they never
Penguin
really gave other versions of the Penguin the chance, really.
Well, I mean, Gotham, you could make an argument for, but that was
yes.
But what I was gonna say was this Penguin feels very charismatic, very just just a guy. What's the word I'm looking for? A man who would be king, kind of deal. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we?
Yes, Batnana.
Batnana.
You're like you mean something. We're in the middle of a anyway.
Carmine Falcone's dead.
If we don't protect what's ours, we just look weak. The streets are talking again. They know there's only one man big enough to run this city.
Do you remember Carmine's door?
Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I really like that context because it's almost like a dark inversion of Batman, kind of. The idea that the Penguin also sort of hates the chaotic nature of Gotham's underbelly and tries in his own way to, kind of put it under control.
I mean, to be fair, that's always kind of Penguin's. That's always been kind of Penguin's deal. Is like,
which I mean, yeah, but they don't always make it quite as explicit as they made it here just now with the parallels, like where he tries to use like the organized part of organized crime to essentially bring Gotham's chaos to heel a little bit. Which is it's a very interesting dynamic because it does kind of give us a basis to like him and want him to succeed. If he's doing basically the crime lord equivalent of Batman stuff, then it's a really
well, that and also he's trying to give his he's also trying to give his mother a better life.
I mean, yeah, that helps too, but like, I find the dark parallels a little bit more compelling.
All right.
Bat Nana.
Anyway. Bat Nana.
Sophia, I thought you was still at
Arkham? No. I've been rehabilitated.
You're playing a dangerous game with his family, Oz.
Sophia Falcone. Well, obviously, is a character from the Batman comics. The fact that they have her, that she's a former inmate in Arkham,
mm-hmm.
and is now going to be leading a crime family.
Yeah. World building is always a win. Ching.
Well, that, and also that's a great setup for how probably dangerous her character is. Because no ordinary person gets checked into Arkham.
Yeah.
By ordinary,
the operative word in Hospital for the Criminally Insane is criminally insane. The operative phrase.
Yeah. Anyway, shall we?
Bat Nana.
Bat Nana.
You think I want Sophia Falcone knocking on my door?
She is the hangman.
What is it you're really after, Oz?
Gonna tear down the empire from the inside out.
Whoever controls the drug business controls the streets. I'll be running the whole
Was that Clancy Brown's voice I heard?
Yeah, I think he's playing the other major crime family in Gotham that got busted in the Batman universe prior to the like a year prior to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? You got the Falcone family, and then it's the hold on. But also, her Sophia Falcone's nickname is the Hangman. Again, that kind of shows how dangerous of a character she is, or like building up her threat.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Trying to find the name because they might have said it.
From the inside out. Whoever controls the drug business controls the streets. I'll be running the whole damn trade.
No. Where is it? Okay, they'll mention him, but I think he's supposed to be playing the other, like, crime lord.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is kind of the whole thing with, like, I'm not gonna get into like a whole diatribe about this, but often someone who controls a certain thing, like a major criminal enterprise, does kind of have control of, like, can gain a lot of power. And again, like with your whole dark parallels to Batman, it's interesting to see how he goes about it.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious if we're getting any information on drops, which was like a drug that was introduced in the movie, like, drop heads was what they were called.
Yeah, if they were gonna put it anywhere, they would probably put it here, but I'm not sure if we'll get it or not.
Yeah, shall we?
Bet Nana.
I got him, Bishop. I can help you. Hey! Feel alive, Vic, huh? Feel your heart beating?
The city is meant to be yours, sweetheart. What are you gonna do to get it?
Oh, his mom feels like an evil bitch.
Well, I
'Cause
mean,
she's
yes,
she's clearly manipulating him.
right, but then again, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so to speak. So that does make logical sense.
Yeah.
My only concern at this point is, are we gonna get the trick umbrellas? Please tell me we're gonna get the trick umbrellas. I know it's very comic booky, and I know it's not really like in tone, or not necessarily in tone with this kind of thing. It's very, very grounded and stuff. But I want the trick umbrellas. God damn it! If
I
you're
mean,
going to
from
give
one
me,
behind the scenes.
yeah, if you're going to give me Penguin, then I demand trick umbrellas.
From what I saw, like a photo I'd seen behind the scenes, he was wearing like a top hat, like classic Penguin costume. So
I just the only thing that I see is missing from this trailer so far is I don't see evidence of trick umbrellas, and the trick umbrellas are important.
anyway, shall we?
Bet Nana.
Bet Nana.
Trust me. It's just the beginning.
September 19th.
Interesting. And now we go to hell. Low. Whoa.
All right. Final trailer of the night. A fish trailer for Hellboy: The Crooked Man.
I know a lot of people were shitting on this the last time the previous the teaser came out. One, I think this trailer is a big improvement on the last one. And two, having recently refamiliarized myself with the Crooked Man story, which, by the way, I think I misled people the last time we talked about this, because I thought that the motion comic I found for the Crooked Man was Russian Comic Book Guy. I don't think it is. I don't remember the name of the person who it actually is, but I looked it up after the last time we talked about the teaser, and it wasn't Russian Comic Book Guy. It was somebody else. But he did a good enough job that I mistook him for Russian Comic Book Guy. So that's probably why.
All right.
But yeah. Yeah. Babe Ruth.
Pancakes. Or was it flapjacks? I can't remember.
They're the same thing. It's just different words for the same thing.
Okay. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Flapjacks.
Yeah, I was just being informed or something. So yeah, flapjacks.
There's something going on here. I need to understand it. Like you do.
That's exactly why you shouldn't be here.
You might say a demonic entity falls under our expertise.
I'm not sure who this girl is. I don't think there was a equivalent character in the book.
It could be one of the. I mean, there are major female characters in the Hellboy universe.
Yeah, in the BPRD, but there was no assistant agent in the book. In the Crooked Man, anyway. I know it. Like there are times where HB works with the other agents and shit, but in the Crooked Man, there is no such character.
Alright. Well, obviously, the adaptation.
I guess they might have added her so that HB has someone to talk to, but there's no reason why they couldn't have done what the comic did and have it be Tom that he talks to mostly. So I'm hesitant to say, oh, they added a female character for representation's sake, but I can't really think of who who she's supposed to be, unless they turned Tom's girlfriend or one of the female characters that Tom was helping out into a more major character, again, probably for the sake of representation. I'm not saying it is therefore necessarily bad. I'm just saying that it is suspicious that there was no such equivalent character in the comic, and yet there is one here. And knowing what we know about modern Hollywood tendencies, especially given that one of the main villains of the Crooked Man story is a woman, they might have felt like they needed a positive female representation or some shit.
Pancake?
Pancakes.
Crooked man's waiting on you.
That's interesting.
Oh, you didn't want me to squash?
Squashing skin.
I'm assuming Jack Casey is playing oh boy, he's not doing bad.
Yeah, it's like, again, even though everyone and their dog disliked this when the first trailer came out, I didn't see as many things wrong with that trailer as a lot of people did. And like I say, I think this trailer is a step up to the previous one. So
Again, the only issue I have with like the whole design of this Hellboy is the eyes look too human. That's it.
Mhm.
Maybe they couldn't afford the yellow eye contacts.
I mean, this is also Hellboy when he was younger, because the story, I believe, takes place in the 50s. The Crooked Man story.
Well, I'm just saying the guy Hellboy's always had a yellow eye, so that's why I'm just
I didn't notice anything up with his eyes, so
he's got blue,
I'll have to,
he's got
I'll
blue
have-
eyes. He's got blue eyes, which I'm assuming are just the actor's natural eye color.
Probably.
And again, that looks too human is kind of my.
It might be one of those. It might be one of those. They'll fix it in post things.
This technically is post, so
Yeah. So, yeah, but still,
again, it's a tiny nitpick, and I'm willing to overlook it because everything else looks fine. Like if that's my only nitpick, then clearly it's doing something right.
I wish HB was a slightly deeper red as well. As long as we're nitpicking things, I wish his red was deeper.
Well, to be fair, the whole movie does look a little bit desaturated. Not like terribly so, but given like the story and the context, I am willing to accept that.
Yeah, but like one of his major nicknames is Red, so like, it would be nice if he were a little bit less pink. Is what I'm saying.
I wouldn't say pink, just a dull red, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks sort of pink to me, but that's
You're looking at
like,
it on a phone.
I mean, this is also true, but it does look it does look rather desaturated and closer to pink than it does to red. So
I don't think it's pink. I just think it's a faded red, but
I prefer if red was more red. Is all I'm saying. But like you say,
I get you.
Nitpicks, and probably budgetary issues. It seems like they might have tried to do the suit practically to save on money, or to do HB practically to save on money, and that's why it might be a little bit more like latexy than it normally looks.
Shall we?
Yeah. Flapjacks.
I heard tales about him all my life. Most just called him the Crooked Man.
I thought Big Red wasn't scared of anything.
Okay, so the guy who was just talking there then is probably Tom. So Tom is here. They're not like replacing him with a woman or anything.
Alright.
But Flapjacks, yes.
Well, I know something you're afraid of.
You hear something?
Your road ends in the dark like mine. Let's just keep on coming.
It ain't even really begun.
I assume that woman is Effie Cole, the witch who tempts Tom, the kind of main character of the Crooked Man, into signing his soul away effectively. I'm curious if they're actually gonna. I'm curious if they're actually gonna go all the way and make Tom's like magical implement a cat bone from a boiled cat that he boiled, like they did in the comics, or if they're gonna give him some other signifier instead of the boiled cat bone. Because I could see that being a little bit dark, even for a horror movie.
And the Crooked Man's voice, which we had only heard briefly, and the glimpses we had seen of him, doesn't look bad. And it seems like the actor who's playing the Crooked Man is having fun.
Yeah, you definitely get the old-fashioned Southern Gothic Satan trope, which is kind of what the Crooked Man is supposed to be. So, but flapjacks.
Flapjacks.
Come on, Snake, let's rattle.
Let not your horse be troubled. By way they know not.
Okay, I assume that guy is the priest that Tom and HB take Century with against the Crooked Man at the end of the movie, or at the end of the story. I assume, because there is a black priest that they take refuge with in the comic.
They showed him earlier in the trailer, so
yeah.
All right,
But so far, it seems like a fairly decent adaptation of the story, which is good. Because Crooked Man is one of the better HB stories, I think.
Flapjacks?
Flapjacks.
I will make the darkness light and the crooked things straight.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad. Like I really don't get why people are bitching.
Certainly looks better than the David Harbour version, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Still probably not going to end up being as good as the Del Toro ones, but you know, let he who didn't see that coming cast the first stone.
Mm-hmm. There's 15 seconds left, so
Flapjacks.
Flapjacks.
You doubt the power of prayer, son? Just in case.
It does sound like some Hellboy would say.
Mm-hmm. And it looks good, so I hope it is as good as it looks like it is. Did we get a date for the release of it in that trailer? I didn't see it at the end.
I didn't see it at the end either. Hold on, I'll look it up real quick. Oh, this says 2024.
so it has to be at some point before the end of the year. I would again advise somebody to put a Halloween-oriented movie in freaking October, please. But what the fuck do I know?
So the guy who was making the movie, making Hellboy the Crooked Man, is Brian Taylor. It's interesting. So he's done Crank from 2006 with Jason Statham, you know, that super high-octane action movie. Because the guy had like this car battery in his chest, and he had to constantly be running on adrenaline. It does look like a GTA the movie kind of deal. Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance.
Oh dear.
There were elements. There were elements of that movie I liked. I'll be fully honest.
There were a hell of a lot more in the first one.
I would say it was better than the first movie.
You'd say Spirit of Vengeance is better than the first Ghost Rider.
Yep.
Oh, my dear friend, I think you are wrong on that one. Like, I don't even think it's arguable. They sucked out all the joy in that franchise with that second movie. And the devil meeting a vessel to walk on Earth plot point pissed me off. Obviously, Nicolas Cage can make anything entertaining, so it's not like it wasn't entertaining, but the first one was so much better than the second one. So yeah, that's a bad sign, but okay. What else did he do?
It was a movie called Gamer. It's Gerard Butler, and that was 2009.
I've never even heard of that one.
Anyway, I'm gonna be honest, man. I am starting to get tired for some reason.
Alrighty.
So, last thing for tonight, our review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I have had about a week to really think about the movie. Dawn's seen it recently, so
the non-spoilery TLDR of it is it's good. Not as good as No Way Home, not as good as Multiverse of Madness for me. And I'll get into that in my more extemporaneous thoughts. I ended up liking it a little better than Guardians 3. So that's kind of roughly where it is on my list. The thing to keep in mind with me, folks, is I don't have any particular attachment to the X-Men franchise. Like, the telepaths and the reality benders and the Beyond Omega level mutants are cool, but I don't particularly have any great attachment to the X-Men franchise. And whatever attachment I do have to the X-Men franchise comes from the 90s animated series, and I've always thought that the movies were more or less shit. Like, X2 is probably the best mainline X-Men movie, and then the only other, like, really good X-Men movies are the Deadpool movies and Logan. I have a kind of soft spot for about half of X-Men 3, because I actually really liked the Mutant Cure subplot, but they for some reason tried to jam the Mutant Cure subplot together with the Dark Phoenix subplot, and so half of that movie is interesting, half of that movie is unwatchable. And I still maintain to this very day that the McAvoy Fassbender movies should not even exist. They should have given the rights back to Marvel and bit the bullet a decade ago, but they didn't. So that's my sort of basis for the X-Men. I have very minimal fandom for the X-Men as a franchise to begin with, and then the era of movies that this movie makes a lot of cameos and references and homages to is a era of comic book movie that I really wish we could just leave behind. So I don't have the rose-colored glasses of fandom on for a lot of these cameos and a lot of these references. I kind of wish the movie could have been done without most of them. That being said, like I say, I think it's between Guardians 3 and Multiverse Madness for me. Now, speaking of keeping things in mind, I also am aware that I have much more affinity for Multiverse Madness than most people. So don't take that as me saying this movie is bad. However, one thing I will say for this movie is they didn't really spend much time on like a actual coherent plot that follows through on things. It's very much kind of a series of, and then the plot says we go here, and then the plot says this happened, and then the plot winds us up in this location, and so on. They didn't really make a coherent like storyline for the movie. They just contrived a premise to get Deadpool and Wolverine together and got them to do things that involve running into a bunch of side characters and other references to the early 2000s era of comic book movies that Fox is probably the most famous for. So there's that. That's my thoughts. I think it's definitely better than most of Phase 5 and most of Phase 4. I didn't like it as much as No Way Home or as much as Multiverse Madness. I did like it better than pretty much everything else that Marvel has done so far in this phase, with the possible exception of the Guardians Christmas special or the Guardians Holiday special and Werewolf by Night, which I even like better than Multiverse Madness. So that should give you a general estimate of where I'm at with this.
Rambling.
Yeah, sorry.
You good?
Your turn.
Yeah. So non-spoilery stuff. I liked it. I will agree with you. Yeah, thinking about it on it, it's not that I don't think it has like a plot. I do think it has a plot, but I will say it is not in. On paper, it's not a very engaging plot. I will fully admit
it's a very thin plot.
Yeah, but I think what really carries it, obviously, is like the characters and action, obviously,
and the humor, because Deadpool.
Yeah. My what was I gonna say? From a technical standpoint, because I always try to look at more technical aspects of movies. Cinematography, action, music, like the OST, not the songs they use. Actually, really good.
Something I forgot to mention, I did actually end up really liking the villain we spend most of the movie with. It's not really a spoiler, there are multiple villains in the movie. And the villain we spent the most time with was actually pretty good. The villain Cassandra Nova.
Somewhat. Yeah. It's not really a spoiler because she was in the trailers, and we talked about her before when we watched the trailers.
Yeah. She was really
she was good, and
really
the
cool.
actress Joey King is a phenomenal actress. So. I enjoyed it for what it is. It's not perfect, but I mean, is anything ever?
Where would you like rank it comparative to the other MCU movies?
Well, it's got a lot of heartfelt moments and moments that really got me. Not, God, I've never really ranked movies before, so. I just don't care to be fully honest. But if we're going like how it, because I often like if a movie is good enough to make me feel like emotional, then it obviously ranks pretty high. So, I guess I'm gonna say maybe like near Guardians 2. Just the last movie I really remember from Marvel that really got me emotionally. Like the Guardians 2 and 3, like near those kind of. Just like those are the Marvel movies I remember the most, like eliciting like emotional reactions from me.
I just kind of tried to do my best to like compare them to the other like big scale multiverse stories like this, and I ended up going. Sorry.
I can't really do that because those movies never really. I mean, I got no problem with them; like not bad or anything, but they just don't really elicit anything from me.
And I know, just from many, many hours of talking to you, I know how much No Way Home annoys you. So there's that.
Well, no, the whole MCU Spider-Man story annoys me.
But yeah, from where I'm sitting, I put it between Guardians 3 and the Guardians Christmas special, in terms of my ranking of the MCU.
Okay, so I don't know what we can really say in terms of spoilers.
Is there anything in particular you wanted to give your thoughts on that was spoilery?
Well, I will admit it was impressive that they had Elektra, Blade, and Gambit, spoilers by the way, show up, because I had heard nothing in terms of rumors or spoilers or anything at all regarding that. So that was actually interesting. That was actually one of the few times I am surprised that they were able to keep that under wraps fairly well.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anyone who wasn't X-Men related. So seeing Blade again was really, really cool, because Wesley Snipes he oozes cool.
Yeah.
Though I will say it kind of like it made me laugh, but I was more laughing at the movie when he made the joke about there's only one Blade, because of course the reference is that the MCU has been trying their darndest to get a Blade movie off the ground, and they haven't succeeded yet. Which I will give. No, they're still working on it. But speaking of the kind of self-depreciating jokes, one thing I did appreciate a lot of was, even though Deadpool is now owned by Disney, they did let him get away with taking the piss on phases 4 and 5. A lot more than I think I or a lot of people were expecting, which is a good sign, because it means they knew when to be hands off, and let Deadpool do his thing.
Yeah. Also, Channing Tatum as guy. Well, one thing, because there was always that whole solo movie that was meant to happen but never got.
It's fan service.
Which, respect, honestly, because that guy wanted to play that character for the longest time, and he never got the chance to really play him before.
I just wish they had gotten him. I just wish they had gotten him a better costume, because it looked kind of like the costume was a size or two too small for him. They gave him.
I thought he looked good. Like, it was very well. For one thing, it was the most comic accurate suit I've ever seen.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it was cool. They finally gave him the chance to play the character, so that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like in No Way Home, how they finally gave Andrew Garfield something to do as his version of Peter, which is something the movies he was actually in were sorely lacking in the ability to let him play the character.
Logan, even though it's not a version of Logan that we were familiar with.
Yeah, it's spoilers. It's a variant version who ended up leading to the deaths of all of his X-Men.
No, he wasn't there to help them.
Mm-hmm. And he blames himself for essentially abandoning them, which is why I say his actions kind of led to his X-Men getting ganked. One assumes in a kind of parallel X2 situation, because I'm trying to think of times in the Fox X-Men timeline where Logan being there made a massive difference to the thing, and I think we're supposed to assume that the events of X2 happened and he wasn't there for some reason. Because that was when the school was under the most threat in the Fox timeline. Then again, I might be putting more effort into figuring out where the alternate universe alters than the writers did. So maybe not.
But Hugh Jackman, like, dude, is phenomenal. Like, I think he gave one of the this and Logan and the Wolverine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the man can play Wolverine in his fucking sleep at this point.
Yeah.
It fits him like a goddamn glove.
He got to do some of the best moments for the character in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, most of the actual cathartic emotional moments are related to Logan and his kind of imposter syndrome as the last survivor of his universe's X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean, not to say that he got them all, because there were a few for Wade too, but
yeah.
But
I feel like people often forget is that Deadpool, for all of his jokes and crassness and stuff, he's actually a really deep character.
Yeah, that was one of the most surprising fuck yeah moments I had for the entire movie, was when he said something to the effect of "I joke, but I care," because that so sums up why Deadpool can do the otherwise annoying meta commentary and it works, whereas when other IPs do the jokey meta commentary bullshit, it ends up coming off as bitter and dismissive because it's deliberately there to mock things that people otherwise take seriously. So speaking of things that felt kind of like a call out for Marvel, it really felt like that was both a really heartfelt moment, but also a call out of, hey, Marvel, stop doing the meta shit. You have to actually give a damn about the things you're being meta with in order for this to work.
Mm-hmm.
Which, speaking as someone for whom the meta commentary and the meta comedy has gotten so unspeakably insufferable in phases 4 and 5,
right, I think so I guess kind of a tangent here, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
know is technically on topic. The whole I mean, we have no problem with meta commentary. I think the issue is often it doesn't feel like it's coming from the characters. Like,
or and again, relating it back to the thing I was just saying about why Deadpool works and a lot of theirs doesn't. When somebody who actually likes the source material makes a meta joke, it comes from an affectionate place. It comes from an inside baseball sort of place. When someone who actively disdains or is bitter about an IP makes meta jokes, it's there to mock or to belittle or to embitter the things that people actually care about. When someone who doesn't like something makes a meta joke about it, it becomes you're stupid for liking this or for caring about it in any meaningful way. When someone who cares about when someone who cares about an IP or a fan base makes a meta joke about it, it's coming from a place of this is the kind of joke that only someone who loves this could make.
And I mean, weirdly enough, I know some people are complained about like the cameos and stuff and the references, which don't know why, but even that felt very much like love to it, even if they were making fun of it a bit.
Yeah, like, and sorry, go ahead.
Well, again, there's a difference between mocking something and playfully making fun of something. Because, I mean, to kind of give the example of like Dalton and I, we constantly throw like insult each other and make fun of each other.
We do,
but it never feels like we're coming across as like genuinely insulting each other, right?
Yeah. And by the way, if anyone ever unironically says half the shit I say to Brainstormer without being ironic about it, I will fucking curse you. It is a thing that I will do. Nobody mocks my friend except me. God damn it.
Yeah. Oh, same here, by the way. Though I because we're on the air, I cannot say what I would do to the people if they insulted you. For legal reasons.
For reasons that we really don't want to get the channel X-rated. But yeah, this is the thing. This is what a lot of, and yes, I'm going to say it, SJW writers don't understand about meta humor or meta jokes. If you joke about something you care about, that is coming from a place of genuine affection. If you joke about something you hate, you are mocking the people who like it for liking it. And that is never going to hit the same or hit as well as someone who makes a tongue-in-cheek joke at the expense of something they otherwise love. But that's the thing with so many SJW writers in this day and age. They don't like anything. They don't like any of the IPs they work on because they genuinely don't see the reason why anyone would like or care about these things unironically. And since they don't like or understand why people would like these things unironically, they see all art as a means to a socio-political or moral end. And that's trivializing and instrumentalizing. And if you're going to be trivializing and instrumentalizing, and then you add mockery on top of it, mockery and contempt on top of it, it is no wonder that your attempted quote unquote jokes will fall flatter than a freaking roadkill victim in the middle of Flatland. But yeah, that's it. But I was gonna say something and I can't remember. Oh, okay, now I remember. I think one of the reasons why I didn't like this movie as much as most people, and I kind of alluded to it already, is that my whatever love of the X-Men I have is residual affection for the 90s cartoon and or maybe Wolverine and the X-Men, which was on Nicktoons Network back in the day, which was also really good. But my feelings towards the Bryan Singer movies are like neutral at best, because the Bryan Singer X-Men movies are a classic case of something that I complain about a lot, which is taking a comic book based superhero property and removing all the comic booky superhero shit from it and turning it into a generic sci-fi action movie. The Bryan Singer X-Men movies are probably the patient zeros of that to a large degree. And so a lot of the references and a lot of the jokes that were, attempting to homage the Bryan Singer Fox era of movies didn't land right for me because I don't like those movies. Now, mind you, if you're someone who does like those movies or that era of movies, you will get a lot more out of this than I got out of it. But as a result of me not really liking the Bryan Singer era of X-Men and not really thinking the Stuart McAvoy era should even exist, and only really liking X2, parts of X3, the Deadpools, and Logan, my enjoyment of this was somewhat muted, to the point where at times I was actually kind of rooting for Cassandra Nova. Because, spoiler alert, her goal in the movie is to essentially collapse all of the alternate universes into the Void so she can rule over them as the, Empress of the Void, essentially. And other than the fact that she was just genuinely played really, really well by the actors who played her, I ended up rooting for Cassandra through most of the movie. But if you're the kind of person who does have fond memories of either the X-Men in general or the Bryan Singer X-Men movies in particular, you will get much more out of this than I got out of it. Even acknowledging that there's a lot in this movie that I didn't particularly care for because I don't really have a particular basis in this particular IP, I can still acknowledge that this movie is good. So for someone who actually likes the Bryan Singer X-Men movies or the Fox era of superhero movies in general, you will have a fun time with this movie. Me
Also,
looking at it from me looking at it from the outside looking in, I had a lot less to latch on to, and so I noticed a lot more of the technical flaws and the lack of a very strong plot that you probably won't notice if you are high on the references, essentially. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to mention, just kind of like one of my favorite parts was the climax of the movie, like the ending of the movie, with a epic orchestral version of "Living on a Prayer" by Madonna. When Deadpool and Wolverine are stopping Cassandra, it's good. Like, honestly, man, I actually started listening to like versions of that song on YouTube since I watched that movie. Because I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest like Madonna fan, but that song coupled with like watching that scene and stuff, it works for some reason.
Hold on, just because if I don't mention this, people will probably eviscerate me in the comments. You do know that "Living on a Prayer" was originally done by Bon Jovi, right?
I didn't.
Oh my god. The sheltered freaking youth of the nation, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, the only Bon Jovi song I've ever listened to is "It's My Life."
Oh, Yve. The young generation, I swear to fucking God. But yes, the Madonna cover of "Living on a Prayer" is a cover. The original version of "Living on a Prayer" was by Bon Jovi.
Just so we
And
can
the
fact
fact-
check them.
the fa-
Looking
the
it up
fact
so we
that-
can fact check it.
The fact that that you did that unironically, I'm never gonna let you live this moment down. You do realize that, right?
Okay, sue me. It's not a song I listen to often until that movie.
But if we ever needed evidence that Brainstormer is in fact a Zoomer, this clip. So someone please clip this and like turn it into a meme or something. I have to. This has to now be a running gag. I am never letting you live
It's
down.
not that big. It is not that big of a deal, motherfucker.
I'm pretty sure everyone who is part of Gen X just convulsed a little bit. Just
Okay,
from
it means you're old as shit then. Okay, I don't know. Okay, I don't know everything, despite me being a nerd. Okay.
I know, but by that same token, I must now at least work in mocking you about this right now and again. Because if I didn't, I'm pretty sure all of Gen X would be freaking assembling a mob of pitchforks and torches to come and eviscerate you. So I as the millennial of this particular stream will do Gen X a solid and take it upon myself to mock him for this. So that the universe
Okay,
does not
and since
explode.
we are playing up the fact that since we're playing up the fact that I'm Gen Z, when has Gen Z ever given a shit about what the older generations care about?
I mean, this is true, but it also results in Gen Z frequently, quote unquote, inventing things that already existed several times over. And apparently
Okay.
attributing to Madonna a song that was originally done by Bon Jovi. Because
Okay,
that
it
is
was
apparently a
what I
thing.
heard. Okay, it's what I've heard.
Uh-huh.
It's not that big of a damn deal.
Ask anyone who grew up in the 80s. I am pretty certain they will give a damn.
That says the song came out in 2009.
It didn't. It's an 80s song.
All right, look it up. Okay, I'm not having this conversation. We're not drawing this out.
You sure you're not looking at a cover again?
I looked up original artist of Living on the Prayer, Bon Jovi. You were right. However, it said it came out in 2009. So feel free to fact check me later.
It didn't. It was an 80s song. But nevertheless, Brainstormer having pulled the Zoomer aside, yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine is a pretty good movie, even if you have no particular love lost for the X-Men or for the Fox X-Men movies. And I imagine it's significantly better if you do have any sort of love lost for the X-Men or the Fox X-Men movies. Because I'm someone who has not much of a basis in the X-Men, and certainly no particular love for the Fox era X-Men movies, and I still found this movie to be pretty good, even though it basically has no plot, or is a series of very random vignettes contrived into a plot, rather.
I will say there's a pitch, a YouTuber I've mentioned a few times, Nanovi Movies made it last year for Deadpool and Wolverine. It was actually pretty good. Mojo was actually the major villain. of that.
Interesting.
You can check out the video. I might even put it in the Discord, actually, now that I think about it. But yeah, that was a good. I would say that might be the. If you wanted to go with more, I wouldn't say it's a more plot-centered one, but
one with a stronger plot or a more solid plot, maybe.
Yeah. Hell, there are even ideas in there that are similar to the actual movie. So,
which it's impressive that a movie can be as good as this movie is without having much of a plot, but they managed it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's really anything else to say.
No, I think we basically gave our quick review of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. So with that, folks, I want to say goodbye, adios, aloha, auf Wiedersehen, sayonara, peace, cheers, and
shalom and fuck off.